Hi there. In this video we'll be covering how can I write a story about my family. Our family stories, they're unique to us. They tell us about our journey, where we're from, and they inform our path forward. Because those family stories are so important, it's meaningful to want to document them, but where to begin? What to do next? I've been documenting family stories for 20 years now, and I just think it's the best. And I want to share as many tips as I can with you because I just think it's so meaningful to be able to document and share our family stories. By the end of this video, you will learn how to decide and choose what story you're telling, how to gather material, how to identify the heart of your story, and how to bring the story together in the most powerful way. And stay tuned until the end of the video for an opportunity I really think you're going to enjoy. Let's dive in. When we think about telling our family story, we often go big. We think about generations, and we think about centuries, and we think about movement and, pace and go here, here, here. I really want you to focus smaller. I want you to focus on specific timelines, specific people, specific characters. This isn't about the epic. This isn't about everything. It's about telling a narrow and specific story about 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 people. Obviously, there's more people related to that and connected to that. But what is the main thrust of the timeline of your story? You really need to figure that out because it's going to make it easier for you to really focus in on the research and focus in on what matters. So research matters. How do we do that? There's multiple ways to gather your material. Obviously, there's libraries and there's family resources. There might be documents that your family has kept over the years that are meaningful. I myself, when I'm researching this stuff, I start with 2 different resources. They are Ancestry.com and Newspapers.com. I have been using these sites as a proud user for years and years and years. I think they're both wonderful. It has streamlined family research so much for me to be able to use those 2 resources, and they get better and better over time. Ancestry has census records, city directories, yearbooks, death records, newspaper clippings, family trees, immigration records. There's so much stuff right at your fingertips that can teach us so much about who our relatives were, the lives they lived, and those sorts of things. And Newspapers.com has been great at digitizing old newspapers. Those old newspapers hold secrets to our family. It's really interesting for me when I'm working with a family and helping them tell their story in a book, and I can find articles and records for them that they didn't know existed. And I can tell them things about their family that they didn't know about. It's really meaningful to dive in on such a deep level that you learn things. You unlock pieces of the past that didn't make any sense or weren't clear. Now they are because of these documents. So it's great to be able to use the documents to fill in pieces of the story. The documents themselves aren't everything. You need to go deeper than that. But it's this balancing act. Interviews are a main part of that too. You want to interview as many people as you can and get as much information as you can from them because these stories really resonate when they're told in that vivid, meaningful way. You don't want these stories to be flat and just documents focused. You want this to pop off the page. You want this to be really special. So getting interviews, recording interviews, documenting these stories from the people who lived them or remember them or were told them is so important to preserving the past. When you start breaking things down and really diving into the research and figuring out what story you're telling, what is the main message? And maybe there's multiple messages. Maybe there's 2 or 3 things that you really want to say here. What are those things? What are those main stories? What are those main points? A lot of times they're stories of resilience, People from past generations may have climbed over a lot of things. It's about success. It's about achieving more than anticipated. It's about rising above. It's about writing the path. It's about rising above tragedies and making the most of things. I think there's just something so meaningful to be able to look back at these stories and lessons and insights. And you can do that through interviews. You can really dive into what's so important about these stories, and you can really fill in the gaps. What did so-and-so say about this? What was their insight about this? I think it's great also to triangulate from multiple people. Because if you're focused on just one viewpoint for your story, what if you're wrong? What if your viewpoint's not accurate? We all have biases when we tell stories. Our viewpoints, our perspectives, our insights are all different, just a little bit different. Even if we all see the same thing, we might see it a little bit differently. So it's so important to get multiple different viewpoints to build a consensus. Because so-and-so might not be 100% accurate and so-and-so might not be 100% accurate. What about right in the middle? There's this spot in the middle where it all fits, So it's so meaningful to be able to get consensus and to interview multiple people to get so many viewpoints contributing to this bigger truth. After you gather your material and you figure out the heart of your story, you have to think about the structure of your story. You have to think about how you're telling the story. How do the pieces fit together? And this could be, this first section's about a father, next section's about a son, this section's about the mom. It could be something like that. It could be chronological or non-chronological. You need to figure out the best structure for the story, because if you don't do that, the story is going to fall apart. The structure is so crucial to the story's success. So spend some time thinking about it. Look at movies or TV shows that worked well, jumping around. Think about things that worked well, think about things that didn't work well, and learn from those things and use them as fuel and inspiration and insight. Use them as motivation. See what they did and build on it. This goes back to the interview process, but bring out those scenes and stories with description, vivid detail. I want to see the red of the tomato. I want to smell that cigar. You've got to really capture the life of this, because it's easy to go flat and it's easy to be boring. It's easy to feel dated. It's so important to be able to bring out those vivid details in your storytelling to tell the story in the most powerful way possible and not just think of it as a document dump of so-and-so lived here, then they did this, then they did this, then they lived, then they died at the end. There's more to this story than this. What specifically can we say about the way they lived, by these details we have, by these interviews, by these resources, by all the research? It all fits together in this powerful narrative, and this powerful narrative can teach us a lot about ourselves, and it can teach us a lot about the lives we live, the lives of the past, and the lives of the future. I think through that process, it's important to reflect. It's important to think about this. Where did our relatives go wrong? Where did our ancestors miss the mark? What were some of the challenges that kept them from being their best version of themselves? What are the regrets that they carried, and how did that impact the next generation? There's so many things that come into play, and we need to take the time to be able to accurately reflect on what this all means for us and for the future. And that's where this really meaningful process gains its power. Being able to reflect, being able to connect those dots, being able to put the pieces together. It's such an awesome thing, and it's worth spending the time on. It's so worth it. It's so worth it to, really figure it out. It's overly simplified, a lot of times when we take that first pass at it. But that's why it really requires a little more digging, because there's probably more there, and there's a lot more under the surface than what initially meets the eye. If you want to learn more about how can I write a story about my family, there's definitely another video I recorded I think you should watch, because I think you can learn a lot from it. It's called How to Write a Family History Book. In that video, I focus a lot deeper on the elements of writing a book, of what it means to bring a book forward, of collaboration on a book. It's just an empowering thing to be able to write a book about your family, and I've done it myself on about half a dozen projects, and it's just so neat to be able to see how everything works together. So if you're interested in learning more about writing a book about your family, you should definitely check out the video. I'm Dan Good. Thanks for watching.